Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello everybody and welcome to Championship Night in the Australian NASCAR Championship here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. We've got 4 drivers fighting for one title at the end of 2025. Brad Newman, Matt Danson, Josh Michelmore and Wayne Bourke of our Championship 4 after the previous round of 8. They made it through, and tonight whoever finishes ahead of the other 3 will be going away with an Australian NASCAR Championship presented by Motorsport Australia Esports and sponsored by Nitro Racing as well. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and Dylan McDonald in the commentary box with Biggles behind the cameras here tonight. Dylan, it's good to be back alongside you. There's the round of 8 final standings. Sadly, Ethan Winter not able to join us for this final race of the season, so we've promoted Wayne Bourke into the Championship 4. All 4 of them have had good seasons to this point and deserve to have one last chance at the title at the place where NASCAR used to end its seasons, Homestead-Miami Speedway, and will end its season in 2026, by the way. But unlike in the real world, we're ending here in 2025, and it is going to be a very interesting and exciting final race of the season.
Absolutely. You're going to see people go from the bottom all the way up by the outside wall, doing the Kyle Larson line, as a lot of drivers would say. And then obviously you also got green flag pit stops. Got to get from almost 200 mile an hour all the way down to 45 or 50 mile an hour down in pit lane. So if the race goes green, you're definitely going to see a lot of people sliding their tires, even possibly spinning into pit lane. So definitely got to keep your eyes and ears open for everything going on around you.
And green flag pit stops have been such a story of the round of 8 races, by the way. I think only one caution. It's only in a couple of races that I did from, first of all, from the last round in the round of 8 at Vegas, and the round before that at Atlanta as well. I'm pretty sure I had just the one caution. So we're likely to see, and therefore green flag pit stops in those races, very likely to see that once again. But there are there are the playoff standings. So Bourke is going to be promoted to those that Championship 4. He only missed out by 3 points anyway. That's who is fighting for the title. The points up until this point don't matter. None of it matters. It only matters who finishes ahead of the other 3. Qualifying is just about to draw to a close, and none, I should say, of the top 4 are even on the front row. We'll go through the grid in a moment, but this is the season schedule we see for the final time. Because it's been a long season all the way through since the opening round at Daytona. It's a Daytona 200, 80 laps on the 16th of February. And every 2 weeks since then, right up until this point here, we've been racing every week, or every 2 weeks rather, from that round of 12 as well, with Darlington kicking off the playoffs, all the way to Homestead-Miami Speedway, which is going to be our finale here for this championship as well. seen such variety across the board in terms of the tracks we've had. We've not used any twice, other than Daytona, which I think has been a good thing. It's been a very varied schedule, but I'm glad that we've differed slightly in a couple of places to the real life NASCAR Cup Series schedule, because I must admit I do prefer Homestead as a venue for the final race rather than Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, Homestead is always going to provide better racing than Phoenix will ever have. Obviously you got different lines being used all the way in and throughout the different styles of racing at Homestead, where Phoenix, all you have is the way bottom groove down underneath the dog leg. So to come back to such a historical racetrack of Homestead-Miami Speedway to cap off the season here in the Australian NASCAR Championship race, kind of brings back a little bit of memories of how the NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity and Truck Series used to do it back in a couple years ago, with Homestead being the final race.
Yeah, it used to be the final race, have a hold in the championship race every year. Back in the day, it's held a race every year since 99, I think, from when it was a much flatter circuit. Actually, it was changed pretty early on in its life to a much more steeply banked mile and a half, and I think it's probably for the better as well, to be honest. Now between 18 and 20 degrees of banking in the turns, and I think it makes for a much better racetrack. But yeah, between the years of 04 and 2019, it held the championship race all throughout those early playoff years, and then in the later championship race years as well, which this is one of them. Now, you mentioned the Trucks and Xfinity series there. Well, in our Xfinity and Trucks series, Brad Newman has been absolutely dominating, well, at least in terms of winning the other titles. He has done, looking to go for the triple here with the Cup Series win as well. It would be remarkable if he could achieve that, because after all, driving those cars, Trucks and the Xfinity cars, compared to the Cup machines is so different, and to have that skill range is very, very impressive. For Newman to even get this close is quite impressive itself, but he's going for the triple here today, and he's got a great chance, I think, based on the form we've seen him in so far this season.
Yeah, after talking to Brad Newman Thursday night after the Truck Series race, he said the job was not done yet. His final task of the 2025 season was to crown himself another championship on the ANC side, and he's definitely going to be one of those top contender drivers that you really got to watch out for. You got to watch where he's at. He's not going to be too afraid to push it 3-4 wide. He's not going to be too cautious on putting his car where he needs to. Maybe later in the race, wanted to keep the car clean and keep it all the way around the racetrack. But, Brad is going to be Brad. He's going to do what he's got to do to get himself into that championship mode.
And there's the weather statistics on the bottom right of the screen, by the way. 24 degrees Celsius, 75 Fahrenheit on the racetrack at the moment. And that's only going to go down, by the way. So pretty cool temperatures, really, but it is early November. And even in Florida, it does get a little bit cold, especially in the evenings. It will really start to tail off as the race goes on here. But I'm not sure how much of a difference that's ever going to make in terms of the tyre wear. Everybody knows that the race is going to be taking place under nighttime conditions in November, so it's never going to be that warm anyway. It's all about the circuit itself as far as the tyres are concerned, and not indeed. Oh dear, not indeed the temperatures, as Matt Danson just practices going down pit lane. Maybe that will be a key factor in deciding the champion here tonight. That was really close.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just like how I said earlier in the pre-race, green flag pit stops, and that's what I was talking about, going up almost 200 mile an hour, to drop it all the way down to 45 to 50 mile an hour to get into pit lane. That transition from racetrack to banking, and then obviously you got to watch out for the sand barrels at the end of pit road, as Matt Danson almost made a little bit of a contact with those barrels. But that's just one thing that these drivers have to keep in mind. Like, coming off the transition, your car's not going to turn the best, as Brad Newman out here getting some more laps in, seeing what line is going to work, preferably for him, inside, outside, or middle. But there is one thing that we haven't talked about, and that's going to be the seams in turns number 1 and 2. If you cross over the seams coming out of the corner and you have a little bit too much wheel into it, you're going to tend to get a little bit loose coming off of the corner, and that's going to be no good for you, as later towards the end of the run, your tires on the rear are going to be burnt off.
Let's see the starting grid there, ready for the Australian NASCAR Championship race here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's Sam Chapman who's on the pole ahead of Zach Kerr, 2 non-playoff drivers on the front row. And then you get into 3 of the 4 Championship 4. It's Brad Newman ahead of Wayne Bourke and Matt Danson. Dave Douglas is next to Shane Bowen. And then the final of the Championship 4, Josh Michelmore starts in 8th. Fitzroy Beaumont and Jamie Ritchie round out the top 10 with Brenton West and Jason Holdsworth on row 6. Holdsworth didn't set a time in that session, neither did Lewis Greathead, but hopefully they will start here tonight. As always, obviously numbers do dwindle towards the end of the season because it is the playoffs, and if you're not in one of those Championship 4, then less motivated to come in here. As I say, only 3 of those who missed out, so obviously 6th, 7th and 8th are actually here today. Jason Holdsworth, although he didn't even set a time here, looks like he is going to be starting the race though. I can see him making his way out in the 8 car. 1 lap to go until green in the championship race. And Dylan, I'm going to ask you for a prediction. If you could offer one, who do you think is going to take home the championship in 125 laps time?
I think I'm gonna probably, the unanimous decision is always going to be Brad Newman, just because of how dominant he's been all season across all 3 series. But dark horse, I'm gonna have to go with Matt Danson in that number 30 machine. I mean, he's got some speed underneath that Chevy Camaro. He's always there whenever you least expect him to. He's been in a good position a lot of these races, so I'm looking forward to Matt Danson seeing if he can bring home a championship.
Yeah, he should run rather well, you'd think, here tonight. But let's see. Danson is a good underdog tonight. But let's see as the final race in the Australian NASCAR Championship in 2025 gets set to go green. Championship race from Homestead-Miami Speedway. 125 laps between someone and the title.
Yeah, going all the way down into turns number 1 and 2. Everybody's going to be fanning out the way that they need to do it. Green flag all the way up and down. Already Zach Kerr trying to look for the race lead. Trying to get around the outside of Sam Chapman, but here comes Brad Newman. Again, not a driver that is not afraid to put his car where it needs to go. And clean air is what Brad Newman is wanting to see as he now takes the point off turn number 4.
Brad Newman initially aggressive on the opening lap of this championship race. Here comes Kerr on the inside, 3-1 on lap number 2. Right up on the high line, already on the Kyle Larson line is Sam Chapman. Maybe it's a bit early for that, but he'll have a mighty run off of 2. Watch him come now in the 7 car as he just sweeps in front of Danson. Will he sweep to the inside of Kerr? He certainly does, into 3 and 4, but it's a dream start for Brad Newman. He could have very easily got caught up behind this battle between Chapman and Kerr, but he's out front leading the field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not about how your race starts, it's all about how you finish. And with talking to Brad Newman in prior races on Thursday night, especially last week, his mindset was just trying to get the car home in 1 apiece. And I think that's exactly what he's going to be trying to do here tonight. Just get it home in 1 piece. If he's got a little bit of trouble with looseness or somebody being right up on his back bumper trying to take the lead, I could see maybe Brad Newman moving out of the way, letting that person go, and keeping that car facing the right direction instead of looking back at the traffic.
This is Bourke in 5th place at the moment, just behind Danson. Side by side meantime between Beaumont and Michelmore. This is the final of the Championship 4. Josh Michelmore needs to make up some places and get a bit closer to his championship rivals, and he goes through Beaumont on the inside line up into 7th place. But look at the gap already opened in front of him. This is why you've got to qualify a little bit better, because these overtakes cost you time when you have to get closer to those others who are in the championship fight.
Absolutely. And then obviously you also have all of the dirty air as well. It's one thing to catch somebody, but it's another thing to pass them. If you want to hurry up and make those positions, if you qualified poorly going into tonight's race, you want to make those passes as clean and as quickly as you possibly can. Otherwise, like you see here, the front 6 or 7 are already opened up a big gap, and then you got Michelmore back there in 7th position. So with Josh Michelmore having to battle to get those early positions, it allowed the top 6 to kind of break away.
Yeah, and the other championship or 3 of the 4 are more involved in it, even if Danson and Bourke are a little bit further down in the train. They'll just be riding around at the moment. The one thing I did learn, take away massively from Las Vegas, the last round of the championship, is the fact that you can really take care in the opening part of the stint on the tyres and then push on a little bit later. As you see in the race details there, they only get 4 tyre sets for tonight's race. And that pretty much means you can split it into quarters, I suppose, in that sense. Obviously, you won't want to pick it under green 3 times, but you can think about it that way if you like. No limits in terms of the fuel being used, so they'll hope to get to 62, 63 laps so that they can, if they're trying to make it on a one stop, and indeed the big if we make it green all the way home. But of course, we have had minimal cautions on 1.5 in the playoffs so far. Going to be interesting to see how many green flag stops they decide to make it, because as I say, those who took care on their tyres early actually did very well generally in those green flag runs before. As up the track goes Douglas, I think that it's Greathead who gets really loose in the 6 car there through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, Ewan. He was right on that top seam in 3 and 4. I only said it in 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 seems to be doing it as well. As you can see there, they're going across the top seam coming off of the corner. That right there is okay. It's just whenever you're trying to ride the seam all the way around and you get a little bit too much wheel input into it, you gas up on the throttle, you think you're good, and then all of a sudden the rear end ends up doing a 2-step on you, and you have to hurry up and correct it before you either take out another competitor or take out the outside wall.
Thankfully, Greathead gathered it up, although Brenton West went past him into 11th place further down in the field. And this is looking back from Michelmore at the moment, who's got quite a train of drivers lining up behind him at the moment. Not the ideal scenario, to be honest. And then running in 7th place as we have a look at the movers and shakers so far over the course of this race. That big move from Brad Newman up 2 places. It's bigger than anybody else has been able to do so far in the race, and I do wonder how much we'll be looking back on that moment at the end tonight when we know our champion. If Brad Newman wins it, and this is a lot of race under green, I think, and even if that's not the scenario, I think there's going to be a lot to be said for that opening start that he had, siving his way through the field and getting to the lead so quickly and so efficiently on the opening lap there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely going to be looking for the trifecta here. He won the Tuesday night BNG Xfinity Series. He won Thursday night in the Truck Series. He's looking for the trifecta. He wants to get the Triple Crown. You know, everybody wants the Triple Crown. He wants to be the first person in the Australian NASCAR Series to win all 3 series in the same season. He wants it really bad. You can see he's trying to pull away just a little bit, but he also wants to save tires. That's going to be the biggest key. If you want to make the fuel run the 60 to 63 laps, you got to save a little bit of tire wear when you can. Obviously, the later the run they go, the higher the cars are going to go up towards the outside wall.
Yeah. He's controlling this race at the front quite nicely as we continue to run lap 12. On board with Zach Kerr, who started in 2nd place and was just shuffled down to 3rd as he was trying to overtake Chapman on that opening lap. They were both shuffled behind Newman, who now leads this race. Just turns below just a little bit. He just gets a nicer line through 3 and 4 there at Kerr. You can just see by the way he's just able to grip the low side a little bit better, and here he comes into 1. Zach Kerr going for 2nd place on the inside on Chapman.
Yeah, Chapman running that way outside lane above that 3rd seam. He's going to have the run coming off of turn number 1 and 2, though. So Chapman going to keep that P2 position, but Zach Kerr is going to be right alongside of him. He's going to try to do it again down in turns number 3 and 4.
And this is only going to help Newman again get even further in front right now as they come off of 4. A lap side by side between these two, Kerr and Chapman, in front of Danson and Bourke, who would really like to see them get single file again, I would imagine, although it does feel like they've been holding something back in the early laps here at Homestead as well. High side again for Chapman. Is he still alongside? No. And Kerr has made his way through into 2nd position in this race.
And the only person that's sitting right behind this two wide battle that's going to be Danson. He's looking for these drivers to keep battling as hard as they possibly can. While these two get to battle in the 7 and the number 12, the Kerr and Chapman battle, that's just going to bring the 4th place driver and the 5th place driver of Bourke and Danson right to their back bumper. You can see there, Danson in frame, just waiting for the right opportunity. But Zach Kerr is going to be able to get single file once again. And now it looks like Danson going to be all over the back bumper of that number 7 machine of Sam Chapman to get that little bit of a draft, but keep that front right nose piece in clean air so you don't get a little bit tight going into the corner.
Chapman responded there briefly to try and get back past Kerr again, but couldn't do it. Newman has been taking the chance to save a bit more tyre, by the way. He didn't take the chance to actually get further away at the front as we go on board now with Fitzroy Beaumont. Right in behind Josh Michelmore, who's still in 7th place at the moment, the driver of the Championship 4, who's perhaps struggling most. He's been behind here. Ritchie and Holdsworth are going side by side for 9th place in that final group of the field, a little bit further down in this race. There they are, in fact, side by side. Holdsworth holding on the inside nicely there over Ritchie off of 4th. So good battles all the way through the field at the moment. This track is a very raceable one. It's 1.5 miles, and so we're seeing a lot of side-by-side so far.
Yeah, talking to Jason Holdsworth and Michelmore before the race started, Michelmore was feeling a little bit better on the looseness side of things here at Homestead, while Jason Holdsworth in that number 8 machine was feeling a little bit more tighter than what he liked to have in that number 8 machine. Michelmore was passing him some thoughts of what he was doing to help him get some rotation out of the car, and it seems to be working for Mr. Holdsworth as he is all the way up to P number 9 after that 12th place starting spot here tonight. So Holdsworth looking a little bit strong. Obviously, he's got a lot of work to make up for to get up there towards that top 5, but still keeping the car as low as he possibly can around that white line in the corners, as we got a 3 wide situation going into 3.
Don't see this very often. West coming through the middle trying to take all the places, but it's not quite going to be that easy. Holdsworth on the low side, up on the outside, Greathead on the inside I should say, but on the outside line Jamie Ritchie through back to where he qualified, up into the top 10 again, still running that real high line, and West getting a little bit out of sorts there, loses his line a little bit. Right round the outside again for Ritchie. He's going to get to 10th. Greathead is not going to be able to stay alongside quite. And there you have it. Ritchie up into 10th. Although Greathead responds again. 10th to the low side. The 14 car could have taken that line away from Lewis Greathead. He might try and slide up in front of him indeed as well, as Danson tries to get past Chapman. It's all happening at the moment here at Homestead. Matt Danson looking for an overtake for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, Danson now running the middle lane of the racetrack, as he had a little bit of a blinking issue there, but he's back, he's going, he's trying to dance his way all the way up there towards the front. He backed out of that position just in case if Sam Chapman moved up just a little bit more than what he anticipated, but I can see Danson going to try to get that run once again. And with Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's kind of like you want to set up the pass for a couple of laps, get them off exit, and see if you can't just power around them on that outside. But you can't run that outside lane from start to finish. Your tires will go away quicker than what you put them on, as we look at a flyby here going down the back stretch.
To 3 and 4, the whole field covered by 7.5 seconds here at Homestead so far tonight. Brad Newman has led every lap ahead of Zach Kerr, who is now back up to 2nd place. He's overtook Sam Chapman in the not too distant past, and this is the battle for 3rd place as Danson tries to get back past Chapman into 1. Chapman just takes his line away. Wayne Bourke catching up to these guys, by the way, as we dip towards 100 laps to go in this championship season. Brad Newman the leader. Of course, that one lead change going on the very opening lap as he took the lead impressively. And of course, it's not necessarily about the overall lead of the race. It's just about staying in front of the other 3, and at the moment he is nearly 2 seconds in front of this battle, which contains the next of the Championship 4 drivers.
Yeah, you can see there Wayne Bourke has really caught up to Matt Danson. He's going to put that number 89 machine up on that outside lane, going to ride right up on that outside wall, looking like Kyle Larson out there trying to do anything he possibly can. Look at the run he's going to have coming off the corner. And the 7 is going to block the 30. That's going to leave the 89 all by himself. The 7 gets tagged. A little bit of a save. Everybody checking up. But it's going to be Matt Danson coming out of it with the 2-for-1 in Wayne Bourke. Going to be able to get around as well. And now he's got a little bit of damage.
That is unbelievable. Chapman there was all crossed up, and Bowen is now going to get past easily as well. So Zach Kerr, meantime, is putting pressure on Brad Newman for the lead of this race. Very shortly, with one overtake for Danson and Bourke, and for one being overtaken, Brad Newman, there's now no positions between 3 of the championship 4 as Zach Kerr makes our second lead change of the race. He started in second, he's now up to the lead after a long time, running third, by the way. Oh, he tags the wall off of 4 as well. With 100 laps to go, Zach Kerr is the leader at Homestead.
And that's what I was talking about earlier in this race. If anybody was to pressure Brad and Newman for the race lead, Brad Newman was going to move over for him. Obviously, if it was a championship contender and it's coming down to the wire, I wouldn't want him to move, but this early in the race, he knows he's not racing Zach Kerr for a championship. He's just going to go ahead and let him go on by. He can sit behind Zach Kerr, use the draft of that number 12 machine to help pull him along and use a little bit less fuel than what he wants to use, as we get a beautiful shot of Barney the Flagman watching these cars zip on by him as everybody is single file for the most part.
Here they are now. Get back to single file again with Kerr leading the field. I wonder how much Newman is now going to push on his pace a little bit more, because I'd imagine he's really held something back in these laps so far. But we've only done 25 laps tonight, Dylan. However, look at the lap times we're seeing at the moment. We're in the 34s. Fastest lap last time round came from Wayne Bourke, who did a 34.2. That's still 1.2 seconds slower than his best lap time of the day. So in just 25 laps, we're seeing a drop-off of 1.2 seconds at 1.25 seconds. I mean, after 40 laps even, it's going to be quite severe as well. I wonder whether we're going to see some pit stops in about 15 laps or so, as Michelmore gets past Chapman. I wonder whether we'll see some pit stops in 15 laps or so, because the tyre wear's so high, and maybe split this race into thirds if we stay green until that point.
You know, that could potentially be the main concern here too. You know, could you split it, you know, between 2 stops, or maybe even just, like you said, 3, cut it up into quarters? Me personally, I would go for the 2-stop strategy. I would pit, and then I would pit maybe about lap 50 to 55 if I could make my tires last that long. Like I said, everybody's running the bottom that wants to run the bottom. The people that are running the top, they're not going to have anywhere to go once those tires end up giving out. As you see, Michelmore making a pass on Shane Bowen in that number 38 machine. So move Josh Michelmore up to P number 5. He has sat in the back, waited patiently, and now he is making his run all the way up towards the top.
Oh, Bowen, Chapman in the wall. There's Bowen, got through on him. Sam Chapman trying to run that high line, just got in the fence there, unfortunately. So Sam Chapman, after qualifying on the pole, is really starting to struggle for long run speed at the moment. As we get to the end of lap 29, Brad Newman is also starting to see some long run speed tail off here. He's been caught by Danson and Bourke on the last couple of laps pretty consistently. Although last time round he did match them. It's Zach Kerr who's the fastest man in this field at the moment on lap 30, running very well at the front of the field. But only a quarter of the way through this championship race. There's still a very, very long way to go. They get 4 tyre sets, by the way, so even splitting the race into thirds would not be a bad idea, I think, because it would even leave you a free set of tyres towards the end of this race, should there be a late race caution. Although, having said that, again, in the round of 8, there were not too many late race cautions at all. So you can't be banking on those at all tonight. You've got to imagine, I think, that this race is going to run 125 laps green, and then change your strategy if it doesn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with me, that's how I approach every single race. Okay, this race is going to go 100% green. I need to start saving fuel, saving tire from the start of once the green flag waves, all the way till my first pit stop. See how long I can push the car and see what my tire wear is after the 50, 60 lap run that I'm going to be able to put into the car. If if my tire wear is more better than bad, then I know I can push it just a little bit harder than what I did that first run. But it's all about give and take here at Homestead-Miami. You can see Wayne Bourke really having to wheel that car around, going into the corners, 160 all the way down to about 140, 135 mile an hour, and then getting it right back up. You can see him, he's already starting to seesaw the wheel left and right, trying to keep that car straight.
It's so interesting the way they have to drive here at Homestead. Oh, he's entered a bit high here. Oh, I think he might have even found the wall there up the high side. Just might have avoided it, but he was a little bit shaky on the way in that time round. As we go on board with Jason Holdsworth here, who's up to 9th place, and where he started, Chapman is all at sea right now, and he is going to drop to 9th place. I mean, have you got any ideas what's going on with Sam Chapman at the moment? He does not look to have any sort of long run speed at all.
Well, I mean, looking at the left rear quarter panel of that number 7 machine from that contact with Danson earlier in the race, that could be a major factor. Maybe he's battling a little bit of looseness going into that car, because anything on the rear end, on the truck, the Xfinity car, or any kind of stock car for that matter, is going to make your car extremely loose. And I know he's been battling a little bit of looseness. He's just trying to hang on until first round of pit stops happen, as he's got Jason Holdsworth all over his back bumper. But you can see it there, that tail light kind of frowned upon going down into turns number 3 and 4.
Side by side off of 4 and over the fence, as we've got a stop already for Lewis Greathead. So he's going to split this race into quarters. 1/4 of the race will be lap 31, so he's got a bit further than that. But that's the first green flag stop we've seen in the championship race tonight, and very much will not be the last. We know that. He looks up the inside again here, Holdsworth, trying to get the run off of 2, much like what he did last lap. And when he got through, Chapman was just able to turn back underneath him again and get straight back past again. Up a little bit high, and Chapman's just drifting higher and higher and higher, and Holdsworth on the low side is just going to slide straight through in front of Chapman, and then West, who's in 10th position just in behind as well. He's catching up as a result of this. It's turning into a pretty big battle for 8th place here. Holdsworth, though, finally gets that position and moves up.
Yeah, you can see it there. You know, everybody 35, 36 laps into this race. There's a lot of people still running that inside lane. I'm looking about lap 40 to 45. You're going to start seeing those drivers go from the bottom up to the top. The 16 of Fitzroy Beaumont, he's starting to get a little bit tight down there on the inside. He moved up to the middle in the apex of the corner, and then looked like he was trying to get all the way up to the outside wall coming off of turns number 3 and 4. Just not able to do it with the number 38 on his outside, but he's going to be able to get clear of the number 38, but a little bit of a crossover move by Shane Bowen. He's going to be looking down to the inside of the number 16.
Can he clear him on the way towards 2? 3 rather, he certainly can. Bowen up to 6th place then. Although again, he goes a bit deep into 3 and 4, and so Bowman just able to turn underneath him here and get a better run off of 4. A bit loose on the exit, as well as the tyres are just starting to fall away from them here. Down the inside for Beaumont. And he on the low side, the 38 up on the high side. Too high though, I think. He got very close to the wall there. And he's still alongside. Is he or Beaumont going to slide in front of him? There you go. Slides in front and has the place, although how brief. Oh, and he gets into the back of him here. Bowen gets into Beaumont rather, and that was a bit unnecessary. I don't, he was sort of halfway down the backstretch. They didn't need to make contact there at all, but they very nearly had a massive crash there.
Yeah, a little bit of a bump draft gone wrong. Not sure if Shane Bowen got offset a little bit, as we have the number 7 machine in a pit lane at this time by on lap number 39. Dave Douglas, Double D, and the number 10 machine ripping that outside. The Nitro Racing entry in that number 10 machine, getting around the number 13 of West, as West has started towards the back, has stayed there. He's trying to stay out of the way, just get some laps underneath his belt and to see if he just can't be up there towards the end of this race. But the battle's still going on between the number 16 and the number 38.
It's a good battle for 6th place. Oh, and in the fence, Bowman enters high, and Bowen, they've got so similar names. Bowen is going to slip through on the inside easily, and he moves into 6th. Meantime, Jamie Ritchie, the latest to come in, he's the 3rd driver to stop so far tonight. We're still short of the third mark in this race, by the way. That will come officially at the end of lap 42, which we are very close to. So far, none of the Championship 4 have come in, and I think one of the drivers who's very pleased to see this 1/3 mark is Brad Newman, because suddenly he's really being caught by Matt Danson. Less than half a second between first and second of the Championship 4.
Yeah, that could be really good for Matt Danson, or it could be really bad. You can look at it both ways. Either A, you think you have the long run pace, or it could be Brad Newman playing a little bit of mind games with you. Make you overdrive your stuff, make you think that you're really catching them, and then once you get up to the number one of Brad Newman, he'll start to really put the pedal to the metal and start pulling away. But with it being 42 laps into this first run, I don't see that being a big factor. I believe maybe Newman is just saving a little bit more, trying to get past that 60-lap mark on a fuel and see if he just can't take it to 63 or maybe even possibly 65. So if he can take it to 65, you know it's going to be balls to the wall all the way in and through, because then he knows for a fact he can make the first, he can make the whole entire race.
So Michelmore is in, the first of the Championship 4 to make their way down pit lane, and he's only the 4th driver overall out of the 13 to come in so far, as this great battle for 5th place. It's around now 5th place. It still continues here on the outside for Douglas. Is he alongside the 16? He just about is, and Beaumont saw it coming, so he gives him the room. Douglas is going to get boxed in though on the outside, and so he can't go anywhere with that. Into 3 and 4. He'll enter on the high side again, trying to get past if he can, but I think Bowen's just going to slide up in front of him here. Oh no, he doesn't. He can't get in front of him, and Douglas goes right round into 5th place.
Yeah, he set that one up beautifully. He stuck to that outside. He had the momentum going off turns number 2, got around the number 16, used that momentum into turns number 3 and 4, was able to get around the number 38 in 3 and 4, and now he is sitting P number 5 on the field as Fitzroy Beaumont able to get around Bowen down to the inside. Fitzroy running that middle lane, going to try to pinch him down there so he can't get a good run off of the corner, but Fitzroy Beaumont going to wash up towards the outside wall, and then now you're starting to see everybody start moving their way up to that outside lane, or even possibly the middle, as Fitzroy back to the top.
There, or maybe even too high. Here, coming past both of them is Michelmore, who's on the new tyres. He's unlapping himself. That was really loose. And contact. Michelmore has got to be careful here, because these guys are playing for keeps back here at the moment. Side by side it is for 5th place. He's just going to ride right round them. So that's the way to do it. Use the new tyres, get straight through. That had danger written all over it, really, for one of the Championship 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's another thing that a lot of these drivers have to realize. Older tires are going to be really slow up against the drivers on new tires. And that right there just shows you what new tires can do over old tires. You see how quickly Michelmore has pulled away from the 16 and 38, as you can barely see Michelmore in the shot there as they go heading down into turn number 3 and 4. And there goes Sam Chapman as Wayne Bourke, our 2nd Championship 4, our 5th one down the pit lane, along with Jason Holdsworth into pit lane for the first stop.
And the other 2 who are left out on the circuit, by the way, the Championship 4, are nose to tail right now. Newman versus Danson for the championship, albeit with still nearly 80 laps to go at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is the final round in the Australian NASCAR Championship Cup Series here this season, or the championship race. Here in the meantime, on the inside, Danson lets Lewis Greathead through. He pitted very early, don't forget, maybe even too early to be honest. 34 laps completed in the race when he pitted in. Danson though, oh no, don't tell me Danson's disconnected. Oh, he's back again, thank goodness for that. You don't want to see a season settled with a connection fault like this, but he's blinking at the moment quite heavily here. Matt Danson's got to be very concerned about this as he's blinking heavily. This is not nice to see for one of our championship contenders.
Yeah, definitely not what you want to see after having a really strong run this early in the race. He got right up on the back bumper, was even thinking about making a move on Brad and Newman, as Shane Bowen into pit lane this time by the number 38 machine. I believe it's going to be 4 tires and full fuel for Shane. And this is going to be the storybook, right, Ewan? It's like, who's going to take the undercut? We've seen a lot of these drivers take the undercut. Is that going to be the race-winning move? Or is it going to be a championship move to do it under one stop as Matt Danson into pit lane this time by?
Yeah, does this mean 2 pit stops? You'd imagine it does, even if Danson is in well past the 1/3 mark. Bourke very much seems to be all over the place at the moment as Josh Michelmore closes right into Brad Newman. He's only unlapping himself, but that's a big show on how different these tyres are at this stage in the run. Last time round, Brad Newman was 2 seconds slower than his previous best. I think he is going to try this one-stop strategy and make it to half distance here. We could well be seeing a strategy race in the final race of the season. That'd be so fascinating to see a tyre battle like this in the last race. 31 takes the position ahead of Danson. Wayne Bourke is still going to be behind Matt Danson, though. I think, no, he won't. Bourke's going to get right round the outside as well. So the undercut, if you pit earlier, the undercut is so strong around this circuit.
Yeah, and then another thing that you got to watch out for is, the top 3 as of right now have not pitted. So Kerr, Newman, West, all still outside, are still out there racing, haven't made their first pit stop. While these drivers have pitted from lap 34 all the way to lap 50, the tires are going to go away while these drivers are out there, running laps, maintaining. They're going to lose a little bit of time on the field just because they stayed out this long. But the tire to time ratio is going to be way different. Once the 1, the 12, and the 13 all make their pit stops, the 89, the 31, the 30, the 7, the 14, 8, 10, 38, and 16, all of their tires are going to be a little bit more worn, and that's where all the time is going to be made up as the top 2 coming to pit lane this time by Ewan.
So nobody is going for the one stop by the looks of things unless Brenton West is going to try. He's going to take the lead after 52 laps tonight. So Brenton West hits the front for the first time. He's gained 10 places to be there as well. He's only at the moment, 20 seconds or so ahead of Michelmore, who is leading the line for those who have stopped a little bit earlier. Lewis Greathead is feeling the effects of stopping early as well now and falling through the field therefore. West is going to get overtaken pretty much everywhere. Oh, and that's tight on the inside there as he very nearly came down on one of the guys coming through. West is going to be leading this, and then it's going to be Josh Michelmore who is in second position. Greathead is in third, then it's Wayne Bourke, and then Matt Danson. Brad Newman is all the way down in 8th place as it stands. It will be 7th when West comes in, but that just shows you how damaging it is to stay out so long. Bourke goes through meantime up into 3rd place. It's a complete reversal of the Championship 4 that we're running in the first half of this race.
Yeah, Michelmore was the lack of the Championship 4 down there towards the end of it, and now you just kind of flipped it all the way around, right? You got Newman in 8th. He's 4th out of 4th. Danson, he was 2nd. Now he's 3rd. Bourke, he was 2nd. He was 2nd, and then you got Michelmore. That a lot of different stuff going on around in and through this racetrack. Anything can happen. It's still early in this race. It's only 55 laps out of 125, and everybody has pitted. Anything can happen, and right now it is all Michelmore's championship as of right now.
He is currently leading the 4. As I mentioned earlier, it does not matter who wins this race. It just matters out of those 4 who are highlighted on the left-hand side of the screen who beats the other 3. Which one of them is going to do that here tonight? At the moment, it is very much up in the air as to who's going to do that. Effectively, they're in reverse order from tyre life. So Michelmore is leading, but he's got the worst tyre life. Newman's last, but he's got best tyre life, if you see what I mean. So he's got some catching to do, of course, but he has got the tyres underneath him that might just help him to do it here. Just coming up to halfway here from Homestead-Miami Speedway, the Australian NASCAR Championship 2025's championship race, presented by Motorsport Australia Esports and sponsored by Nitro Racing as well. Glad to have you along tonight for the show. Myself, Ian O'Leary, and Dylan McDonald in the commentary box. Biggles behind the cameras for us tonight as well. It's been a fascinating race so far. I've got to say, it's one of my big, as Zach Kerr gets through into 5th, by the way, expect to see him try and come through into the lead in the future. It's one of my real, gripes with the current stage race system in the real world. You don't get races like this anymore. You don't get the long green flag runs particularly. You don't get real strategy like we so often get in this series, because we don't have stages and we have clean racing, which means we don't get cautions and we get great strategy battles over the course of these races. Thoroughly enjoy these longer runs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, with the stage racing that you see in today's society with NASCAR and all that, it takes the strategy out of everything, right? You know, you finally get comfortable in a groove, you can pull away from somebody. But with stages, you can kind of burn off the tires just a little bit more than what you want to, because you know you have the caution coming out and you can pit and be right back to where you want to be. With this, no stages, it makes you want to drive just a little bit differently. And another thing that we don't really talk about is these drivers, they don't have fast repairs. They don't have anything. So if they wreck and they happen to pop a motor, their night is done. They're going to be sitting in pit lane with a 40-minute hold to get that motor replaced and then get them back out there on the racetrack. So watching these drivers do what they need to do and stay as calm as they possibly can and drive way different is going to be the key here, as Greathead was trying to make the pass on Brad Newman, not able to do so, but Jason Holdsworth makes a pass on Sam Chapman.
And the top 3 of the Championship 4 are all closing in as well here, as West has got nearly to halfway now, having not stopped yet, and he's still leading. So Brenton West is, I think, the legitimate leader of this race right now. Excuse me. I think he's got a real chance tonight with the one-stop strategy. Fair play to him. Again, we don't see this anymore. We don't see different amounts of stops in the race. I think Lewis Greathead might not be far from coming in, because I think he's coming in 3 times in this race, to be honest. And there were some very early stops, as far as even doing a 2-stop race tonight is concerned. Jamie Ritchie and Sam Chapman were another couple of those, although unfortunately Chapman's race pace looking to be very pedestrian compared to his qualifying speed that got him on the pole for the final race in this season. On board with Wayne Bourke, who is right in behind Josh Michelmore, and he's got better tyres than him, but better than them both is right behind him Matt Danson, who's currently in 4th place. Brad Newman bearing down on all 3 of them. It's a fascinating situation as Michelmore tries to hold on to what will become the race lead as Brenton West comes in.
Yeah, I'll just get ready to say, I don't know if you've been paying attention to that live timing tower over there or not, but that time or the gap that Michelmore had on, or that West had on Michelmore, was continuously dropping. It was looking about 1.5 seconds per lap as Wayne Bourke to that outside. Oh, Michelmore almost didn't give him the room. Wayne Bourke into the outside wall, but here comes Matt Danson down to the inside. He's going to try to take away P number 2 on the championship podium here tonight. You got 3 of the 4, championship 4 in a box right now. And then you got Zach Kerr 3 wide across the line.
3 of the Championship 4, 3 wide into 1, and Matt Danson's going to take the race lead here. Wayne Bourke is going to go right round the outside of all of them, and Zach Kerr's going to be very careful of that, because he is on the inside here. He is fighting for the lead as well with these guys, although he's not one of the Championship 4. Oh, there's Brenton West. He's coming out the pit lane slowly. He's only just about to stay on the lead lap here. He's on newest tyres of them all, though. He will race away from them.
Yeah, Brenton West on the newest tires as he just came out of pit lane. He's got to get that car up to speed so he doesn't go a lap down. That did not play out to Zach Kerr's favor. And now they're going to be side by side. Danson pinching him down. Kerr to the outside. Possibly going to be looking at a 3-wide situation coming off turns number 1 and 2. What does Zach Kerr do? He looks down to the inside. Brenton West to the inside. Danson to the outside. Kerr going to ship it on in there. Not going to be able to get by the number 13. But now Danson going to settle down in P number 2 right behind Zach Kerr.
So Danson will be fine with this, I think, because Newman is 2 seconds behind him. And don't forget, as the run went longer, Matt Danson got better than Brad Newman in that previous run. So that's what he'll be hoping for a repeat of here. But what a battle that was. 3 wide with 3 of the Championship 4. And it's Matt Danson who comes out the other side with the lead of the championship. It's Zach Kerr, though, who comes out the other side with the lead of this race. He's got slightly newer tyres and that's why he's coming through on these guys. Brad Newman pitted on the same lap as them, and he's coming through right now. On board we go with him as Josh Michelmore looks to try and hold this off. He's going to become fourth of the championship for once again. Here is Michelmore as he's overtaken by Brad Newman. He's got to make these overtakes efficiently in that one car, and he makes this one quickly.
Yeah, he makes that super quick. He's going to be able to get around that number 31 machine of Josh Michelmore, move Brad and Newman up to P number 4. The top 5 as they sit. Kerr in the lead, Danson in second, Bourke in third, Newman in fourth, and Michelmore in fifth. All of your Championship 4 racers second through fifth position here. With that being said there, Ewan, when do you want to take your next and final pit stop? We know that the top 5 cannot make it on fuel. I believe the only person that can make it on fuel is going to be that person down in 13th position. That's going to be Brent West. But with how many laps there are here tonight, and the estimated fuel percentage being about 60 laps per tank, when do you want to take your final pit stop and make it your best?
I think it matters so much about tyre life rather than fuel strategy. I'd be surprised if anybody runs 60 laps on this tank of fuel, although they would have filled it up during that previous pit stop. I doubt anybody will go all the way to the end of that tank, and they'll rather use the tyre life that they've got underneath them at the moment. But let's see, because I thought that the time at which Newman came in, as well as that Kerr, was really strange actually. Sort of not really on any strategy. It's directly in the middle of the ideal lap you'd want to pit if you were doing a 2-stop and a 3-stop race. And on a 2-stop you'd want to be just after lap 40. A 1-stop, sorry, you'd rather be just after lap 60. They pitted just after lap 50, which is sort of neither of those. As Newman gets in front of Wayne Bourke there, that's no surprise given his tyre life again there. The bigger gap is going to be the one to catch to Danson here, 2 seconds in the next 10 laps or so, and we'll see if he can do it. But yeah, I thought that was rather strange, so I do wonder what they're going to do here. You are correct that, at least it's my belief anyway, that Brent West is the only one who can make it home from here. Unfortunately for him, he's not that much quicker even than Zach Kerr at the moment, even though he's got 10 laps fresher tyres than him. And even those who pitted very early are not going for a 3-stop here either, so they're not trying anything back there. But I think we could be waiting at least 10 laps here for more pit stops, but the undercut is so powerful here that people are going to be desperate to come in, and maybe they will push it a little bit earlier as a result. Maybe they will be trying to come in as early as possible because of the advantage that it holds when you pit so early.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, I could see Danson going to try to make it all the way to lap number 100. Same with Newman. Same with possibly maybe Michelmore. Michelmore might pit like lap 85 to 90. So give or take 15 more laps for the number 31 machine. Bourke, Danson, and Newman, they're all going to wait till about 95 to 100 laps. So that way they have just 25 lap run to the end of the race. And they can kind of run a little bit differently towards that last 25 laps. Is looking on board onto the number 10 machine, 2 Nitro drivers in the Toyota Supras, the 8 and the number 10 of Douglas and Jason Holdsworth, going back to back as they're trying to figure out which way they want to go.
So lots of battles going on up and down the field at the moment. Close ones between Douglas and Holdsworth, but also Greathead and Beaumont at the moment. There goes Fitzroy Beaumont down the inside of Lewis Greathead. I really thought the 6 car would be in early actually in this second round of times, as in 10 laps ago, because he pitted very early first time round as well, which got him into a net race lead briefly. But at the moment, it's costing him the race lead, and he didn't have a chance at any sort of result here this long run, because he's been out there for nearly 40 laps on those tyres, and they are really feeling worse for wear. Well over halfway now in the championship race, and Danson is holding Brad Newman at bay, and here comes Wayne Bourke. He knows that he's not going to win this championship if he does the same thing as everybody else, so with more than 50 to go, he's in for a second time.
Man, is that, like you said there, Ewan, splitting this up into threes. I think maybe Wayne Bourke is banking on a caution to come out and get those next set of tires and put everybody else back on a level playing field and everything going on like that. But now he's behind the bullet now, because as he has to run, those tires are going to get more worn. And then once everybody else comes in, they're going to have fresher tires. But as I say that, Michelmore in for a second stop on lap number 75.
Yeah, if you're not Danson or Newman in this Championship 4, you've got to try this at the moment. But even Newman's got to be tempted at this stage, although maybe not this early. I would wait maybe another 10 laps or so, but make sure you don't let Danson undercut you again, because he's got the better long run speed. You can't afford him to have that tyre advantage when he's got the short run disadvantage as well, because that sort of negates it, and it's given him a 2.5 second lead at the moment in this Championship 4. So 3 off the lead lap now with these pit stops happening. They may be their final stops of the season. We'll just see whether they decide to make a third stop if this stays under green. As you say, I think Bourke and Michelmore could do with a late race caution, although then again, I'm not entirely sure how that helps them again. Everybody in that case would be able to put on new tyres, and it'd be a straight fight then, which I don't think is to their advantage, because in a straight fight, I think it would be between Danson and Newman.
Yeah, and it's all about, how in what they do on pit lane. Again, another thing that we don't really cover bases on, is this is all open setups. So these drivers are going to plug in a setup that their setup shop has provided for them, as the series provided by Nitro Setup. And, you guys can join the Discord at nitroracing.gg/Nitro Racing in the Discord. But everything that you can think of, you can do. You can change the tire pressures. You can change the track bar. You can change everything you want on these cars. And then the cool part about it all is when you go into pit lane, when you can change the perch offset, the spring, whatever you can do inside of the pit road and make the car a little bit looser, faster, more trimmed out. So if you add some perch to the left, that's going to make the car more trimmed out. Trimmed out meaning it's going to be a little bit more quicker. You're going to be running qualifying laps. But you got to watch how much fuel you put in the car, because a little bit too much fuel, you're going to be a little bit more tight. Too little fuel, you're going to be a little bit too more loose than what you want to be. As Holdsworth riding the outside wall, trying to get it off. He's going to try to get around the number 38 as he bounces back off the wall.
These are important moments for Holdsworth at the moment as he battles with Bowen. These guys would be hoping for a top 5 tonight if they can see things go their way. It might be overstretching it slightly for these two, but that would be a good result, a top 5 for these two. Currently fighting for 5th, but of course not forgetting that 4 drivers further down have already made their final pit stops of the season, including Bourke and Michelmore, who are running quicker at the moment than the front 2. Let's have a look at the pit laps again across the board. You'll see the bottom 4 with pit laps much more recent than the rest. Newman's got 3 lap fresher tyres than Danson, which is almost negligible difference. The bigger difference between Danson and Newman, though, is the long run speed, and that's what Matt Danson has right now. He's got now 3 seconds over Newman, who's got to start thinking, what can I do in this final pit stop phase to get ahead of Danson, because in a straight fight, again, I'm losing this fight.
Yeah, just before we cut over to see the last pit stop, that's what I was looking at, the time difference between Danson and Newman. Danson, now that he's got the clean air, he doesn't have any dirty air. Brad Newman doesn't have any dirty air as well. They're both on equal terms, but Danson has that long run longevity of this race, where Newman, we've seen him go from 3rd to 1st, right off the rip, stayed up there and towards the front, and that kind of is showing where his long run pace is, as Jamie Ritchie into pit lane this time. But you got to have the long run just in case of situations just like this, where we went 82 laps and no caution.
It's been fantastic running, especially in these playoffs and the Australian NASCAR Championship this season. 2025, especially in the playoffs, the time I've been here, it's been fantastic to watch in terms of how long these green flag runs have been, how consistent everybody's been running all throughout that period, and how clean the racing's been up and down. It's been fantastic. Jamie Ritchie gets out the pit lane for the final time this season as well. It will be the final time if there's no caution anyway. It's this battle between Bowen and Holdsworth continues. They're being closed on at the moment by Beaumont, so it's going to become a 3-car battle for 5th place. Beaumont on board with him at the moment as he watches Holdsworth go back to the inside for 5th position here. So many different lines you can run here at Homestead. It's such a great place to go racing in terms of where you can run these lines. Yes, I do believe Phoenix has got slightly better in recent years, but it's nothing like this. This is a proper championship finale circuit, and this is a proper racetrack with properly different lines that you can run. Look at that, right next to the wall, right down by the white line, and they're dead even through 3 and 4.
Yeah, you know, that's another thing that I appreciate that iRacing put in is Jason Holdsworth gets put into the outside wall. Beaumont gets into the back of Holdsworth. Not what Holdsworth wanted to see. He's going to take it off of the racetrack, get out of everybody's way. Not sure if that's what Shane wanted to do. He gave Holdsworth a shot. Holdsworth with heavy damage on the right rear, the right front. He's just going to take it, limp it back down into pit lane. Again, not a championship contender, but not going to be happy in that number 8 machine as he's got to limp his way back to the pit road.
Now, just as we were complimenting them on a clean race so far, they make contact. Beaumont also comes in. So that battle, unfortunately, has an abrupt ending because into the pit lane come now 2 of the 3 of them. So that leaves just 6 to make a pit stop, although Brenton West probably won't be, and very shortly he won't be the net race leader either, because Wayne Bourke is only a 2.5 seconds or so behind him. The gap now between Danson and Newman is 4 seconds. This is a big gap for Danson, and to be honest, I'm surprised Newman hasn't already taken the initiative by coming into pit lane.
Yeah, you know, I think that's what Danson's waiting for. If he sees that Newman goes down into pit lane, that next time by that Danson's going to come by, that's when you're going to see Danson go in. So here it is. This is going to be the money stop, Ewan. Now that Newman is in pit lane, does Matt Danson see that and go into pit lane, or is he going to stay out even longer and lose that track position and time on Newman? It's all of what if, as of right now, is going down into turns number 3 and 4. This is what is going to make or break your championship here, and it looks like Matt Danson is going to stay out one more lap.
Wow, I absolutely agree. I think he should have been watching for Newman to come in, and then once he comes in, next lap, come straight in as well. But no, he's going to let this go a little bit further, is Danson. He's going to let this go to chance, you could argue as well, just a little bit here. So, yeah, this is interesting. Very, very interesting. Danson playing a bit of... Oh, and a contact with the pit wall. Shane Bowen hits the pit wall. Oh, my goodness. You don't see that too often, but it's amazing we don't. And into the fence down pit lane. Danson's got to come through this, and that's why Bowen is staying where he is. Fair play to Bowen for that. He doesn't decide to try and get back on the racetrack while the championship leader, as he was at the time, was coming down pit lane. But wow, big impact with the pit wall. And he's the first man to get into that pit wall tonight.
Yeah, very good execution there by the number 38 of staying down, letting the championship driver get into pit lane before you try to move. So give yourself a pat on the back, Mr. Shane Bowen. That was a stand-up move by him. But now Danson in, Kerr in, 4 tires and fuel for the number 30 machine. Wayne Bourke, he's still out there. And there goes Newman across the start-finish line. And here comes Matt Danson. 2-lap difference on tires can really make a difference. Is Brad Newman going to be able to get away from Danson? There it is. There's the gap. Danson still getting up to speed. He's going to be able to stay out in front of Brad Newman, but Brad Newman carrying all the speed. He's going to be right up on the back bumper of the number 30 machine. He's going to look on the outside.
Brad Newman has got to strike early here on this short run. Look at this, he's looking left and right as they come across the pit lane to start that 90. Newman to the inside. Danson has to enter through the middle. Newman just goes up off the bottom there. He's off the white line. He's on the inside. He's got better short run speed than Danson. It's the long runs that Danson has been getting away from the field on. Zach Kerr's hesitancy has prevented him from getting out in front of these two as well. And Brad Newman takes the place. It's only for 4th right now, and they're still 10 seconds off of Wayne Bourke. but it's important for Newman to get in front at this stage in the race.
Yeah, that could very well much be a championship move by Brad Newman to take the undercut, and that could have been a championship loss in Matt Danson's eyes to not see the undercut that Brad Newman took and didn't go in while he was in a pit lane or getting back up to speed. But looking at it now, though, Ewan, now that Danson's back up to speed, Newman is not pulling away like what we would have seen earlier in this race, like he was on lap number 1. Again, tire differences, 2 laps different between the 1 and the 30, but still, anything can happen. Wayne Bourke still out there in P number 1, Michelmore in 2nd, West in 3rd, 4th and 5th are going to be the next 2 championship contenders, the 1 and 30 of Matt Danson. It's all going to come down to these last couple laps as we're nearing 30 laps to go here at Homestead-Miami.
30 laps in the season. 30 laps to decide a champion between 4 highlighted on the left-hand side of the screen. Wayne Bourke is currently the leader. These 2 are on the freshest tyres of them all, though. Michelmore, you'd argue, is out of it at this stage. He's only got 1 lap fresher tyres than Bourke, and so it's going to be very difficult for him to chase him down. Zach Kerr is on pretty much the same tyre life as these guys as well, and he's not in for the championship, but he will want to win the race. He's shown some great speed on these 1.5 miles in the playoffs in recent weeks. And how is he going to play this? Because Danson and Newman potentially are fighting for a championship here. Will he just wait behind them for the moment? Danson looks to the inside. He forces Newman defensive, and Newman definitely is more comfortable on the inside there, so that's where he's going to go. Zach Kerr isn't afraid to go next to the wall, and he's going to get alongside Danson. Is Newman going to pull in front of him? He will do. Oh no, he won't. Newman pulls right in front of them all. It's 3 wide. Zach Kerr's going to take them both here. He's not worried about the championship fight. He wants to push on and try and win a race at Homestead tonight. He comes off the bottom, does Newman. He's got to give space to Kerr. Here comes Danson off of 4. He's going to go through the middle. Newman pulls in front of him. Danson forced to go through the middle. It's 3 wide again. Newman holds on again in what could be a massively important battle, but Danson, oh, there's contact. Danson makes contact and he can't do it for now. 30 to go.
That was a stand-up move by the number 30 machine to back out of that. A little bit of a contact there to not hook the number 1 machine, but it got a little bit dicey and spicy in turns number 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 as they have a lot of traffic coming up. It's Brenton West going into pit lane this time by, but that is not our concern as we're looking at the championship fight right here between the 1 and the 30. Where does the 30 go? 30 is going to go down low. The 14 going to chase the 1 up the racetrack. They're both going to be able to get around the number 14. And now Brad Newman getting away from Matt Danson. He's going high. He's going low. He's going middle. Anywhere that the 30 is going, he's going to put that number 1 machine in front to get that dirty air on that number 30.
And look at who this is benefiting at the moment. In the race lead, Wayne Bourke is leading these guys by nearly 5 seconds still. I know there's nearly 30 laps to go, and they've still got 15 laps nearly fresher tyres, these 2. However, they can't afford to let this get out of hand. Otherwise, Bourke is going to take the title. It'll be neither of these 2. Newman tight off of 2 again as he tries to defend from Danson, who finally got to the inside. He's been hoping for that inside line again, but he's finally got it now, and surely he's going to be on his way through. Newman on the middle lane, going to get the exit. Does he get clear over the start-finish line? He might well do here. Danson still can't find his way past as Kerr gets past Michelmore. He'll be involved in this in a moment, by the way, the 31. Newman on the outside is starting to struggle here. This is the point at which he starts to struggle after 10-15 laps or so. Compared to Danson, he just doesn't have the speed. It's the long-run speed of Danson that has been making him so dominant as far as the Championship 4 is concerned tonight. But these 2 are still absolutely locked together. A never-ending battle between the 2 of the Championship 4. Perhaps the 2 who are going to be fighting over the title tonight. Dead heat over the line again. Michelmore looks in his mirrors and he sees one of the battles of the season right behind him here at Homestead. Danson still on the inside, gets the run. Michelmore tries to get in the way and Danson goes to the inside. Newman to the outside. 3 of the championship contenders, 3 wide again. Second time that's happened tonight. As inside for Danson, they still can't be separated. Newman's still there on the outside.
There you can see it there. Newman trying to pinch that number 30 machine down to the inside. Doesn't want him to get in that clean air and get single file as Newman back down to the door-to-door, banging all the way through turns number 1 and 2, but it's going to be Danson getting clear of the number 1 machine. What is he going to do? Is he going to run the inside? Is he going to run the outside? Obviously, the outside lane is going to have the momentum going off of the corner. Danson goes to the middle. Newman down to the inside. Oh, he hits the apron. He's going to get off the throttle a little bit too much. He's got to regain all that momentum back, and it's going to be Danson with the championship lead.
100 laps complete at Homestead. Zach Kerr is the race leader. Matt Danson is the championship leader as he overtakes Brad Newman finally. Wayne Bourke, by the way, came into pit lane there, so he's down to 8th position now. We've seen some very long pit stops, by the way, further down the field. Hadn't really noticed in all the madness, but Bowen, Beaumont and Holdsworth all seem to be out of this race, and all about 10 minutes ago they seem to have retired. So it's got a bit quieter out there on the racetrack, but that's no bad thing with such a championship battle we've got on our screens at the moment. As I mentioned, Bourke pitted, and so he's going to be over the line just about now. He's coming up to the back of these guys very quickly, but it's hard to believe that he will be a second and a half a lap quicker for the rest of this race, because that's what this is going to require.
Absolutely. As you can see there, Wayne Bourke currently sitting 8th position. He's going to try to get his lap back the hard way, as he's going to go ahead and get around the number 31 machine, but he's got a lot of railing in to do, right? You know, he's got to hurry up, get the lap back, and get all the way back to the back bumper to even have a shot at taking the championship here. But it's all Matt Danson. He's doing his dancey dance, trying to keep that number 1 machine right behind him. He's got a little bit of a gap between himself and Brad Newman, and I wonder if that is what Danson wanted to have Brad Newman do. You can see the gap there. It's getting bigger and bigger with each and every passing lap. He wanted Brad Newman to burn those tires up as long as he possibly could, and we've seen it after both pit stops. Matt Danson has the car to beat on the long run.
He absolutely does. But other than Zach Kerr, of course, although he's not the championship contender, I do always feel like in these championship races the actual race winner gets forgotten very often, especially when the championship 4 don't win the race. But that looks like it's what's going to happen tonight. Kerr has been absolutely fantastic again in these playoffs. Just a shame he's not been part of them as far as the points are concerned or whatever. But there he is in the 12 car, leading with 21 to go tonight. What did you make of Bourke's decision to come in there, by the way? Because for me, he had a decent chance, to be honest, of at least trying to defend from Danson and Newman, but he didn't even try. He just came into the pit lane before they even got to him. Now he's on new tyres trying to make up 1 lap in the last 20.
Yeah, I think maybe Wayne Bourke should have stayed out and gave the honest good fight, but with the way that his tires were and everybody else's tires, anything could have happened, right? You know, you've seen how bad it was with the new tires versus old tires. The newer tire guys would just blow your doors off if you had old tires on it. So I could see where Wayne Bourke was thinking, okay, you know what? I know I'm not going to be able to hold these guys off as much as I possibly can. I don't want to do anything that could potentially hurt my race or their race by taking myself out or them with me. So let me just go ahead and let them get the lead back. I know I'm not going to be in really good contention to get the race win or even the championship. He thought better of it, didn't want to be in the position where he's either A, getting loose, tight into a corner, coming out of a corner, and wants to keep that number 89 car as clean as he possibly can as he makes his way around the number 30 of Matt Danson. He's got his sights set on the race leader of Zach Kerr, but with only 19 laps to go, Ewan, Bourke is going to need a late race caution to get himself back into this fight.
Yeah, but even then, he'll get the track position because he'll get a lap back as well. But he's not going to get a new set of tyres. He'll run out. This is his 4th set. I think that's because that's his 3rd pit stop. It'll be his 4th set of the race. So he's not going to have new tyres like everybody else will either. So unfortunately, I don't think he's made the right call there. I get that you've just got to try and do anything you can to try and win this race, and he felt that was the best option there, to just try and do absolutely anything to win here. But no, it seems that seems it's going to run away from Wayne Bourke here tonight. Of course, he was allowed into the Championship 4 after the non-attendance for Ethan Winter. And that's a shame, of course. That's the final standings from the previous round, by the way. Bourke just 3 points below that cut line there. But unfortunately, he's not been able to make too much of an impression as far as the Championship is concerned here. It has been Matt Danson's day, other than very early on, when Brad Newman took the race lead overall from Chapman and Kerr, who were battling side by side on the opening lap. Newman dived to the low side into turn 3 on the opening lap of the race as Bourke unlaps himself here to give himself a brief race lead. At one stage it looks like he was going to take the Triple Crown, but at the moment Matt Danson has got a car that has got long run speed in absolute spades, and it seems like, I mean, you don't want to say these kind of things, but he looks absolutely unbeatable at the moment, just Danson. He is so strong at the front end of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kept a steady wheel the whole entire race, and that's why I said the dark horse pick was going to be Matt Danson. I've raced against him. I've watched him race. He's one of those drivers where he will take his time doing what he needs to do, get around the traffic patiently. He's not one of the drivers that, wants to hurry up, bum rush his way up to the front and see if he can keep it there, run his own pace. He's the type of driver that will sit back a little bit, save a little bit, let you burn off your stuff, and then 15, 20 laps later, as he's passing you, he's chucking up the peace sign to you like Tyreek Hill would do in an NFL football game. He's like, see you later, bye Felicia. I'm going to go ahead and take this position, pull away from you, and show you what happens when you really save those tires.
Yeah, absolutely. He's such a strong driver, and I think he said at the start that he was going to be one to be reckoned with here tonight. Newman, I think, was probably the consensus was probably the favourite here at the beginning of this race, but Danson had great speed in the long runs, especially at Vegas in the final round of 8 race. He didn't win any. That was my concern, really, because he didn't win any races in the round of 8. Although, as we saw in those standings there, miles above the cut line. I mean, it wasn't even close for him. I think he was actually just starting the race. Actually, at Vegas was enough for him to get in. Look at that, 34 points above the cut line, miles in front. That's over 3 races, don't forget. Absolutely miles in front. However, my concern was that he didn't win a race, and again, it doesn't look like he's going to win this race, but in the end he's finished ahead of the others, and that's really what's mattered here. Bizarre how these things work. It just shows, doesn't it, that even in this format that comes down to a championship race, no matter what happens, consistency can win out, and that looks like what's going to happen here this season.
Yeah, consistency really does pay off, and Matt Danson is one of those consistent drivers who doesn't matter if he gets a race win or if he does, he just wants to be consistently good at, top 3, top 5, top 10s. He doesn't want to go out there, have a race where he's got a DNF and then have to worry about what he's got to do constantly the next week and week in and week out to get those extra bonus points for the pole, the fastest lap, the laps led, whatever the bonus points may be. So consistency is definitely going to be key, and that's exactly what we've seen on that number 30 machine.
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. However, I'm not sure if he would have watched the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race last weekend, but I'm hoping he didn't, actually, because he'll be getting very nervous about this point in the race, that he's going to lead all day and get a late race caution that takes it away from him, because I don't think he has the short run speed if there were to be a very late caution here. I hope we do go green the whole way through, because it'd be a great show of these drivers for the very final time this season. But I mean, if last weekend's Cup Series finale showed anything, and it did, I suppose, all of them in the real world last weekend, to be honest, it showed that just because you lead all day doesn't mean, and indeed all year, doesn't mean you're going to win the title.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what the number 30 machine does not want to see. I think maybe with the short run, I think Matt Danson may have a car that can contend with the one of Brad and Newman, but it's just going to be putting the car where it needs to be in the clean air, getting around the traffic, depending on how far back you go towards the last pit stop here. But as we took a look at the Cookie Monster, I guess you could say Zach Kerr's got to stick with a Chips Ahoy cookie, and he's just trying to inch a little bit closer to that cookie, trying to get the race win here tonight. He's only 8 laps away from collecting yet another win in the X Series.
It's not far away. Just one final word on Kerr, really, before we start to build up to the final laps of this race and what could be a championship for Matt Danson here. 8 lead changes tonight. Zach Kerr has been instigating most of those. First when he's taken the race lead, in fact, in all 3 runs in this race. It's been absolutely fantastic from him here tonight, and again, a shame he's not part of the championship in a way, because he's been absolutely dominant tonight, and it hasn't looked like anybody else other than him, especially after the first 30 laps or so, was going to win this race. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of like Matt Danson in a way. Not really big mistakes out of the number 12 machine. Not really any mistakes out of the number 30 machine either. Not really a lot of mistakes out of any of the championship 4. As the 2 Vermilion Esports drivers, the 6, the 7, 6, 7, Lewis Greathead and Sam Chapman going toe-to-toe here. Chapman taking over that position over Greathead, but they got the race leader and the championship leader coming up hot on their tails, and both drivers going to run that outside lane as Zach Kerr going through the middle.
Yeah, you don't want this if you're Kerr, as we're riding on board with him at the moment. Greathead and Chapman just in front, fighting this hard. Chapman, of course, the pole sitter tonight, but we spoke about Newman's lack of long run speed, but he really has had a lack of long run speed. That was close, goodness me. Kerr nearly getting into the side of Greathead, but now that he's through on one of them, he should be able to get through on the other fairly comfortably. 5 to go here at Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Australian NASCAR Championship of 2025, presented by Motorsport Australia Esports and sponsored by Nitro Racing. Matt Danson is controlling this now, 6.2 seconds. With every run that we've had, his long run speed has got better, and he is less than 10 miles now from a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Danson doing everything he needs to do, as you see there, the Nitro Racing Discord down there on the bottom. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, as we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. As you see there, hit the thumbs up, comment your favorite driver, who you think's going to win the championship battle with 4 laps to go here tonight. But if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit the bell notifications, turn on all notifications so you guys don't miss anything that the Australian NASCAR Series has to offer, as Matt Danson 4 laps away from a championship trophy, and then 4 laps away for Zach Kerr for another race win in the ANC X Series.
Over the line, 3 to go. Danson will be counting down the laps now, praying that there will be no caution. He would, of course, back himself in a late fight here, but he'll hope that it doesn't come down to it. Let's come down the backstretch again. He may not even have to pass those lap cars in front. Newman is a long way behind him now. It can't just be put down to tyres. Newman's only 2 laps older on tyres. He just doesn't have the long run speed here that Matt Danson has got. 2 laps to go here for Danson. The nerves that be going on for things that are out of his control must be unbelievable.
Yeah, all he's looking to do is get through turns number 1 and 2, and then through turns number 3 and 4, and then see that white flag that Barney will have in his hand of this time by, as exiting off of turns at number 1 and 2. He's keeping a nice clean wheel. He's probably looking in his mirror, looking at a track map if he's got it up on his side of the screen, looking to see if everybody's keeping their car straight and up to speed. But for the final time in regulation, coming off turns number 3 and 4, white flag is out. Ewan, this race is official.
1 more lap to go in this season. It's been a clean race the whole way through. No cautions tonight for 125 laps at Homestead-Miami Speedway. A great showing from everybody in this field tonight, as we've seen so often in this championship this season. Out front, Zach Kerr has dominated, leading 2/3 of the lap. Laps just doesn't really tell the whole story, to be honest. He's been even better than that. Zach Kerr comes off for 4 with a big slide. He's going to win the race. But behind him, Matt Danson is going to come across the line here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. He is the Australian NASCAR Championship winner for 2025.
Matt Danson taking down the Triple Crown threat of Brad Newman. The longevity pace that Matt Danson needed coming in here tonight. 125 laps green, and Matt Danson doing his little dancey dance, getting himself a championship here tonight to put down the number one and saying, no, you're not going to get that three-peat on my watch. Your 2025 champion, Matt Danson, in the number 30.
Oh, what a great job from Danson all day long. He and Kerr are going to make their way to the front stretch and celebrate this title. One of them a race win, one of them a championship win. And so we're going to get double donuts, 2 for the price of 1 here tonight between the two from Homestead-Miami Speedway. But what a final race we've seen. 125 laps here tonight at Homestead-Miami that have been dominated by Zach Kerr. But the championship race dominated in turn by Matt Danson. A brilliant drive from him. Newman threw everything he could at that in the end, and as you say, he can't quite get the Triple Crown, as it were. But you know, he can be very pleased still, Newman, with a great 2025 anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it doesn't matter how many race wins you have in the whole entire season. I know that for personal experience. You know, there's a league that I used to run. I had 10 wins going into the championship finale and ended up finishing second to a championship contender. So, you know, it's not all about how dominant you are the whole entire season. It all comes down to the last race of the season, and that's where Matt Danson shined his best with a long run longevity in capturing his first series title.
This is the championships. The final race standings at the end of tonight. It's Zach Kerr who wins by 3.5 seconds in front of Matt Danson, who wins the title. Brad Newman will end up second in the 2025 standings, with Josh Michelmore ending up third with his championship fall status as well. Dave Douglas rounds out the top 5 tonight, and Wayne Bourke finishes just under 30 seconds off the win. He finishes 4th for the 2025 standings. Sam Chapman was 1 lap down despite qualifying on pole tonight. Lewis Greathead, Brenton West and Jamie Ritchie were also 1 lap down. Fitzroy Beaumont did get back on the circuit again to finish 22 laps down. Shane Bowen and Jason Holdsworth both retired before the final third or so of that race. Well, so Matt Danson is our champion. Hopefully he will come to chat to us at the moment, in a moment. But how do you think he'll be feeling in there at the moment? The feeling must be incredible, winning a title after so long. In fact, we can ask the man himself as he's put himself in the green room. We'll bring him straight in for a chat. Matt, congratulations on a title here tonight. You're the Australian NASCAR Championship winner for 2025. How are you feeling at the end of that race?
Hey, yeah, awesome. Big relief for sure. Yeah, haven't had much sleep over the last day or so, 2 days. Just kind of anticipating the race and everything. But super stoked to get that one. Obviously would have loved to have gotten the race win as well alongside it, but kind of drove I don't know, a bit poorly in that first run, which obviously cost me. And then in that last run, I still think I would have been close with Zach with how it panned out, but then I got into the kerfuffle with Brad, which ultimately was the battle for the championship. So that was where my focus was, and I just had to be patient. So that kind of let Zach sail on by and get a bit of a gap, but that'll just be a little bit of a sore point for me later. But no, super happy.
Interesting that relief was the first emotion that you mentioned there. Just how this feeling in terms of knowing the only thing that really could have taken that away from him, or indeed put it into any doubt, was sort of out of your control with a late race caution or anything like that. We know how over races can be sometimes with late race cautions or whatever. The guy who's leading the whole way through sometimes doesn't win because of these kind of things. What's the feeling like when you know that that's the main thing that takes it out of your hands, and knowing that that's obviously not in your control?
Yeah, I mean, good call. It was definitely front of mind for sure for that last. Well, I mean, pretty much once I'd cleared Brad and was able to kind of set sail a little bit from there. Then, yeah, obviously attention turned to, okay, well, what happens if yellow comes out, and just trying to sort of think ahead and, like predict the unpredictable, I suppose, in a way, and be prepared. And then, similar situation, I guess, coming up to the finish there, I had a couple of cars that, there was just no need. They were lap cars, no need for me to sort of get involved with them. So I just throttled back and just let the time sort of fall away, because I had a bit of a gap to Brad at that point in time, and just let myself coast to the finish rather than get involved in some lap cars. So I guess, like you said, you can't control those sorts of things, but just tried to be prepared as best as I could, but also desperately hoping it didn't happen, to be fair.
I can imagine. Just rewind a bit as well, just before we let you go and celebrate, to that battle with Brad. It turned out to be the battle for the championship in the end. It was brilliant to watch. It lasted ages, it seemed at the time. I'm sure it seemed like it lasted ages to you as well. What was that like from your perspective? Yeah,
it was awesome. I mean, Brad always has the... probably in any car, not just the Supra, but any car he steps in the sim, it ends up being the widest car, known to iRacing. So, you're going to get a battle with him for sure. Elbows out, that sort of thing. I just had to be patient because I knew I had a bit of the tyre delta on him at that point in time, and I felt like my pace, I'd sort of, in that second run, I'd found my rhythm once again, and so I felt like my pace was good, but I just needed to not overdrive in the sort of process of doing that. So yeah, it was actually I feel like at one point in time we must have been 3 wide with Josh as well, who was one of the other championship contenders. I'm not sure what happened with Ethan. Obviously sucks that he wasn't here tonight. But yeah, it was cool to have like the championship contenders right there in a little under a blanket at one point in time, and then obviously with Zach as well. So I mean, my heart was in my throat for sure at times. Hopefully it looked cool, on your side. But yeah, it was definitely some pucker up moments for sure.
It was great fun to watch. We'll let you go and celebrate, Matt. Congratulations on the championship tonight, and thanks for chatting to us again at the end of the race.
Thank you. I'll just give a quick little shout out as well, just to everyone obviously involved in the organisation of making it all happen and allowing us to go racing. So thank you everyone there. Obviously Altus Engineering and all the team, for their support and guidance. But most importantly for me, massive shout out goes to my wife and our 2 beautiful boys for allowing me the opportunity to sort of step away and follow this sort of hobby. And obviously massive shout out Alex, Oliver, Wesley. Wesley won't have any idea what I'm saying because he's 4 months old, but still, just obviously love them to bits, and obviously we'll dedicate it to them.
Well, congrats again, Matt. Thanks for chatting to us again, and enjoy celebrating the win.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That's Matt Danson, our champion tonight here in the Australian NASCAR Championship for 2025. Well, let's just bring in Brad Newman as well quickly. I think they're congratulating each other actually at the moment, so I'll actually let them to chat away for a moment and bring in our race winner next of all, Zach Kerr, who wins the final race of the season tonight. Zach, congratulations. We often don't give enough credit to the race winner of the last race of any championship season because we're so focused on the title, but you put in a good race tonight. Just tell us how you were feeling in the car.
Overall, felt really happy all night long. Definitely didn't do the greatest qualifying lap, but still to start second. Kind of just took it easy at the start to see how the start of the race would unfold, and then it seemed like Danson and I both had really good long run pace, so we both pulled away. Then from that was just working towards the end.
81 laps led tonight, but most of those not led were through the pit stop phase. What was your plan going into this race in terms of what you thought the race was going to be like caution-wise, and how many stops you were planning to make, and how close were you able to run to that strategy in the end?
I think with the small amount of drivers, I knew it was going to probably go green throughout the whole way. And from the get-go, I knew it was going to be a 2-stop. It was mainly playing my pit stops in where I was on track and who was around me.
Well, congratulations, Zach, on winning the final race of the season tonight. And thanks for chatting to us at the end of the race as well.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Zach Kerr, the winner of the championship race tonight, but not one of our playoff drivers. That went to Matt Danson, as we've just heard. He's been chatting with Brad Newman. We'll steal Brad away now and have a chat with him as well. Third place tonight in the end at Homestead. Brad, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Commiserations on the championship, but congratulations on giving us such a great battle out there on the circuit. It, in the end, came down to that side-by-side with yourself and Matt Danson just inside the last 30 laps. I know the gap was large in the end, but that battle was extraordinary between the two of you. Just tell us about that final run to the end from your perspective.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I knew Matt would have the tyre there. He was just quicker all night, and it's hard to beat that. So I thought I'd have to race him pretty hard to force him into a mistake or using up his tyres or something. But yeah, no, it's going to be rare for someone like him to do that. So he was just too good tonight.
You must still be pleased, though, with the way that 2025 has gone in entirety. I know that you've come as close as you can to a championship without winning it here tonight, but you must be very pleased with the way that 2025 has gone, nevertheless.
I guess, but I don't like not winning, so it still hurts a little bit this one. So I'm more concerned about this, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand. And the run to the end there in terms of those final 40 laps or so was set up by the pit stops. Just what was your plan going forward into the second round of stops after you'd seen the first round and the way that the race had been running green through so long? Did you have sort of a plan together going into that final phase to get ahead of Danson and try and hang on?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have the long run pace that Matt did, and I knew the only way to make something happen was to undercut him and just, I don't know, try and make something happen. If I don't, then nothing can happen then if I come out behind him. So I just had to try something. But again, he's just too quick, so it is what it is.
Well, congrats again on a second place eventually in the championship here tonight. Third place in the race at Homestead, and thanks again for chatting to us throughout the season.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much, Brad Newman. Third place tonight at Homestead, finishes this 2025 championship season in second. Well, a fitting finale, you'd say, Dylan. It was a good race of green flag running for 125 laps here at Homestead tonight, and Matt Danson, our champion. The results are going to say that was not particularly close between himself and Brad Newman, but that final fight within the last 30 laps will live long in the memory. That was a good fight towards the finish and fitting to the end of a season like we've had here.
Oh, absolutely. And you've seen it from the start of the green flag all the way down to the checkered flag, the battles for all four championship four contenders. Every single championship contender, I believe, led at least one lap in this race tonight, or was even at one point in the top three, if not the bottom half of the leaderboard as well. But all in all, it came down to position out there on the racetrack. You heard it from Brad Newman. He needed to do something different to get himself up in front of Matt Danson. It just wasn't enough. Matt Danson said it perfectly. He needed the patience. He had the patience, and he came around to take the championship here tonight.
Congratulations to him and all the other drivers who get to the end tonight of another Australian NASCAR Championship season in 2025. Big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in at home as well. Big thanks for your company all throughout 2025 from Daytona to Homestead. It's been a great ride from February to November. And Matt Danson is your champion in the end. I've been Ewan Leary alongside Dylan McDonald in the commentary box with Biggles behind the cameras of this final race in the Australian NASCAR Championship of 2025 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We hope to see you again next year for another season. But from all of us, for now, from Homestead, it's goodbye for now.